meeting for the Board of Ed public session, October 17th. Time now is 7:30. Everyone please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to turn it over now to Dr. Selena for the superintendent's comments.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Beirudi. Tonight, we have a very special treat. We have some amazing students and teachers here with us. And I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your very busy schedules to be here with us tonight. At this point in time, I'd ask the board and everyone to please stand, and we can actually watch from the audience at this point in time. So please, let's rotate out. And I'm going to introduce Ms. Laura Rutolo, who's an amazing teacher who does amazing things with our students every single day. So, Ms. Rutolo, thank you very much for being here with us this evening and for entertaining all of us.
Thank you very much for having us. This is the chamber orchestra that you're about to listen to. These students auditioned on a level 5, NISMA solo, and scored a 90 or higher. So they're the top of the orchestra, and I'm very proud of them. They're working hard, so please enjoy Andati Festivo. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you very much. For all the students and your families, I'd like to congratulate you all on such an amazing job. So always, especially if we had challenges this year, meeting locations and such, as you know, we're creating an amazing facility, already aware of the involvements in today. So thank you very much for your patience and for all your flexibility and your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We take 5 minutes and then invite the stage to the board president, Mr. Baber.
Any more comments?
That's it at this time.
Oh, okay. Moving on to, section 3, routine approvals. I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 19th, 2024 meetings.
So moved.
Mr. Pascarello, second. Harris?
Some discussion.
Yeah.
So I thought we were switching the minutes over to kind of the minimum required by law. That's what we did with the August minutes. Seems like they kind of got expanded again. Is that how we're gonna keep it for the rest of the year?
Actually, nothing's changed since August. I'll have the district clerk comment on that since she creates the notes.
All business items, any action taken goes into the minutes, and there was a lot of action taken on the NISBA resolutions, which is why it seems lengthy. Editorial comments are not included.
Okay, so we're keeping it pretty.
We are
we're
keeping,
not-
yeah, we
we're
are keeping it
continuing
in,
with not
yes, in
editorial.
accordance with the school law book and Robert's rules.
Okay, and then I just thought the public comment part was sort of not really fully representative, but it's all on YouTube. It's not that big of a deal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So all in favor?
Okay, 6 in favor, motion carried.
Motion to approve the minutes of the September 30th, 2024 special meeting. Mr. Morrissey, second. Mr. Garcia, all in favor?
Okay, 6 in favor, motion carried.
Approval of the minutes of the October 9th, 2024 special meeting. Do I have a motion to approve that? Mr. Garcia? Second. Mrs. Maggio, all in favor?
Okay, 6 in favor, motion carried.
Approval of warrant reports 28 to 30 and 32. Is there a motion? Pascarello, second. Mr. Morrissey, all in favor?
6 in favor, motion carried.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report, August 2024. Mr. Morrissey, second. Mr. Harris, all in favor?
6 in favor, motion carried.
Moving on to section 4, reports, discussion, presentations. We're doing a capital projects update.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baruti. At this point in time, we're going to start off with a little compilation video. So I'm going to, at this point in time, for the tech crew to please play the video. Hello, Plain Edge. Ed Salina here, Superintendent of Plain Edge Public Schools, with a construction update. The project that we're looking at today is our high school gymnasium, which is under renovation at this point in time. But it just looks so amazing that I just wanted to give you a little glimpse of the future and what it looks like. And we look to be opening up in the near future. We have the bleachers that'll be coming. We have all of our padding that's arriving. All of our backboards will be replaced. So we're very excited about this. I know the students are anxious and so are their families to get back into our gym. But we wanted to give you a little update today and a little glimpse of the future. Thank you. there are three projects that are in motion at this point in time that I wanted to share with the board this evening. So I'll make some comments about each one of those.
Can we put the mics back on, please? I can hear.
Hello? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. For these three projects, we'll start off with the John H. West. As I shared before, John H. West classes returned to the field this week for physical education. I also had the opportunity for interscholastic sports to return back there. And over the next week or two, we're going to be opening it up to the community. We're working out the logistics on that right now. The field is fully complete except for a number of punch list items, which will take us probably the next 3 to 4 months before we are 100% complete, but the field is playable. Community leagues will start on the fields this weekend. They've been given they were given a heads up yesterday on that, so they're moving things there ready for the weekend, which is really nice to see all the kids come back onto the field. So we're very excited about that. We're looking forward to opening up to the community so that they're able to use their resources, which is what it was designed for. So we're excited about that happening at this time. In addition to that, we saw the physical education or the gymnasium here at the high school. That's a work in progress, which we knew was going to take at different times, and we open it when we can. Bleachers will be completed tomorrow by about 8 a.m. There is going to be, starting on Monday, there'll be a continuation of the project. The gymnasium will be closed. They'll be taking down the ceiling and all of the backboards inside of that area that are being delivered on Monday morning, probably about 6 a.m. So that's about a 3-week job to get that component done. Then they need to do the ceiling. So whenever we can get the kids back in there, we definitely will. The athletic center facility has enough room to accommodate all of our classes. So classes just won't be happening in that workspace, and our teachers have been great with that. So we're excited about that. Those are a number of the projects that are going on at this point in time. I did have printed up for the Board of Education and will also be available digitally. A lot of these pictures that were inside, if you saw here today, have been reproduced for you, so you have a copy of those. And obviously, we're looking forward to having time, hopefully over the next month, setting up a new tab on our website, which will have all of our capital projects listed and, basically their progress. So that's what I have to share at this point in time about capital. So we're really excited about some of the great modernization projects that the community approved. And that was resounding above 75% on an annual basis. We continue to modernize our facilities, as you know, and add new educational environments for our children, and also for our community as well. Thank you.
So that's, quick question on the high school gym. Is the expectation maybe in the new year, like January sometime, that they'll be able to use that? Or-
Sooner. Actually, our hope is, we're looking to get the next season's beginning. Obviously, we're closing out the first season. We're moving into winter. We want our student athletes to be in their gymnasium. That's our goal as quickly as possible. So as soon as it's approved and the project is ready, we're going to open back up. We want our kids here. We want our families here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to section 5, business. Moving on to section 5 for business. Do I have a motion to approve items 1 to 25?
Mr. Bayreuth, can we, if we could break out a couple, as need clarification before I vote on the consent agenda?
Yeah.
If we could break out, I have questions on 17, 19, and 20. I sent questions this morning that weren't answered yet, but I'd rather hear the answers before I vote.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve items 1 through 16, 18, and 21 to 25?
I'll move.
Second? Mr. Garcia, all in favor? Okay. So
My question
for
on,
items 17,
yeah, question on 17. I had a question this morning, about, I guess, we have 2 contracts we're approving. Are they, they're not in a bargaining unit, I guess? Are those at will positions?
No, those are hourly employees.
Hourly employees,
Yes, they are.
at will
Yes, they are.
Okay, good. I'm fine with that.
Just want to do all three of them?
On item 19, I noticed the check didn't match the paperwork for the donation, so I don't know if that was corrected or not.
The check was the incorrect amount.
The check was,
We already
oh, so
received the correct amount. Yeah, it was replaced.
she's gonna replace the,
It's already been done.
okay, cool, making sure, okay. And, item 20 was predicated on 19 because it was
Right.
the budget increase, so I guess we're okay with that, thank you. I'm good for 17, 19,
All right,
20.
so, motion to approve items 17, 19, and 20. Mr. Morrissey, second.
Second.
Mr. Pascarella, all in favor?
Okay, 6 in favor, motion carried.
Pride and Plain Edge. Opportunity for board members to present on attendance, participation at school and or community events. Anyone have anything they'd like to share? Okay, I guess I'll go then. So I was able to catch, the senior soccer game, that was had, I think maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I wasn't able to do the whole game because I had other obligations to my own children as well, but they played a good game. I was there till the end. Unfortunately, they weren't able to beat Island Trees. I think some missed calls were made, but it is what it is. You have to deal with that and move on. But they played a really amazing game. Some really great athletes on that soccer team. And then last night, they had the National Academic Honor Society, where they recognized the academic achievements of 4 fields of study that are offered in our school. And it's just great to see our kids work hard and achieve something and then being recognized for that. So that's pretty good. Yes, Ms. Nigel.
I just wanted to recognize the middle school for the field day that is back in play. I know it's been a few years, but I don't know, time between COVID and now seems to fly. And I'm just happy to see our kids, the 6th graders, having field day as a sense of team building, an opportunity. I think we do so much for incoming 6th graders, which is wonderful. But when they're in that building and can have an event together so early in the year, I think it's great.
Yeah,
Thank
now that you mention that, it kind of, it brought up something that I've been seeing, which I don't recall seeing before, which is like welcoming breakfasts for new families.
Yeah,
Is
isn't that great?
new? I think
No.
that's pretty, it's something that I think is pretty nice and I appreciate seeing it.
That came about with us enhancing our teaming.
Okay.
So they are creating team experiences, so it was a whole 6th grade event.
Anyone else? Moving on.
Maybe I can just say that most of the school board's going to the New York State School Board Convention this weekend. So that's set Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I believe. So I think most of us are going, right? So and we'll report back next month what we learn, what we find out. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to section 9, informational reports. Are there any questions on the items 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Did we skip over new business?
Oh, we did, yeah.
New business up
Oh, I'm
next.
sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry. Section 8, new business opposition to the proposed regionalization. You have
Oh, even one further, yep.
Oh, sorry. This is what I should be thinking. Old business, section 7, interest survey for board committees. Do we have an update on that?
Still in the works. We haven't been able to focus on it. We will.
And then the other one is Board of Education goal planning sessions. I think we all got.
That's out to the board today.
Right. So,
We need to get the interest back from people and availability. As soon as we get that in, then you'll be able to make a decision.
okay, so Dr. Singh, is it appropriate to do that in email? Or do we have to discuss that in public as part of?
It went out as a doodle.
Doodle,
Yeah,
Okay.
just basically getting feedback.
Okay,
So that'll take care of that. We'll be there next month.
very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for helping us with that.
No worries.
Moving on to section 8, new business. Opposition to the proposed regionalization plan by the Board of Regents and New York State Department of Education. This was initially raised by Mr. Morrissey. So I'll turn it over to you. Let you just take it.
Thank you. I'll try to make a point to speak more loudly and into the microphone. So the board received, I think, a pretty comprehensive packet that Dr. Sleen and his team put together for us. Just, touching on some of the highlights, there's a process in New York State right now where they are pursuing what they're calling regionalization. They are attempting to distinguish it from consolidation and reconfiguration or reorganization, I think is the other term. But as of September, this process was kicked off with an emergency resolution passed by the Board of Regents, which will be renewed and is expected to be made permanent in February. There's a public comment period right now in October, beginning October 23rd. There's a public comment period for new regulations empowering the BOCES superintendents. I'm not to go into too much of the details of what this is. I mean, on its face, the goals seem to be admirable, resource sharing, trying to common planning across entire BOCES districts. However, I think that at the end of the day, the goal is within these different cycles to eventually move towards a consolidation of districts under what they're calling the district superintendent, BOCES superintendent. And I just think, some of the concerns that I have about the process in general are that, they've rushed this process entirely, like passing the emergency rule in September. There's really no clear explanation of how this regionalization process is actually going to improve student outcomes. Also, it's unclear how it will interact with current education law that really set the districts as being responsible for very specific items such as educating students, passing contracts. It seems to take power away from not only the boards of education, but the superintendent and his staff as well. There really doesn't seem to be much consideration given by NYSED as to the varying size of the different BOCES, or what they're calling the single supervisory districts. A lot of the data that they've requested as part of this on the emergency rule is redundant. It's already being reported in several different ways, and really misuses the resources the district already has at its disposal. The foundation aid formula, which governs how school districts are funded, is currently being revised at the same time. So the two processes could almost, in some ways, be working towards different ends. And the other big concern is that the so-called Big Five school districts, which educate about 2/3 of all New York State students, are excluded from this process. And under the emergency regulation passed by the Board of Regents, districts may not opt out of this process. So I'll just outline a few of my concerns. I know several other districts in Nassau County and the Lounge have also expressed concerns. They've sent letters to the superintendent, the commissioner. I'd like us to consider drafting and writing in opposition to this as well. Questions? Any?
So a couple of years ago, they tried to do this and they hid it under the Rockefeller Institute, trying to let them come out and tell all the districts what to do. They were trying to get county school districts is what they were trying for.
Right.
Sounds like they're trying to do the same thing, but hiding the agenda a little bit. So I think we definitely need to send an opposition letter.
Yeah, I would agree. It's certainly been my experience when New York State gets involved in a local school district, it could steamroll a couple kids. So I would be firmly opposed to this and in favor of drafting a letter.
Mike, do you recommend we send letters to our legislators too? And I recommend that we send a letter to the commissioner and everyone in this room reach out to the legislator, that we contact our regent, Roger Tillis, directly expressing our opposition to this. Again, that this seems to be reorganization and consolidation, quote, terminology of, regionalization. I'm for this as well.
Is that just a consensus or?
With the board's consensus, I'm happy to take a stab at drafting something and sharing it around with the board and soliciting some input.
And just as a comment, Ingham and Smith released, and it only came out available to the board today. You'll have a chance to take a look at it when you have time. They definitely say you should be writing the Board of Regents. With this, that's where they're taking comments on it, and they're gonna publish all the comments. So, it would be important for us to get that there. And it's something that, definitely something they should be included inside of, as well as anyone else that you believe is appropriate. You can carbon copy anybody you want. But that was their recommendation that they wanted to. Should you have any concerns or comments? Because it's an open comment period right now.
And I mean, wouldn't we just simply also include the opposition letter to that public comment?
Good.
Okay.
Yes, we could do whatever we want. Now, obviously, the board would need to agree as far as, what they'd like to send, and that there would need to be consensus on whatever's prepared by the board.
We should be able to get consensus to the final letter by email with Joe polling, so I think we could go ahead with that. I'd be for that.
Is that something that we would do?
We'll work it out.
Okay. All right, so it seems like we have consensus to move forward with an opposition letter. I guess if Mr. Morrissey wants to take a stab at drafting it, that's fine, unless there's other ways of doing that. I'm open to hearing as well.
No,
Thank
I'm
you.
open to Mr. Marcy drafting it. It's not a problem for me.
All right, sounds good.
I can give you a list of things, I've thrown to my colleagues, but I think it would be important if it comes from the heart and the concerns that you have, which all seem warranted.
Okay, perfect.
And we're fully available. That's not an issue whatsoever.
Is there any other comments on that, or are we good to move on?
Okay, I'm glad. Thanks for taking point on that, Mike. Yeah.
Moving on to,
With the new business, you mind if I emailed you guys something about, curious, I guess, if the board's interested in moving forward on this? Property.
go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, so, yeah, I emailed the board about this earlier in the week. You spoke about the attorney, and that's done in public, so I wanted to see if the board has any interest. There is a property for sale in the neighborhood. It's 120 Hicksville Road. It used to be the former Plainage Schoolhouse, used to be the former district offices. So, I'm not 100% for it, not 100% against it, but I'm interested in exploring this. And I want to see how my colleagues on the board, if they're interested in exploring potential property acquisition. It was formerly in the district, so in the old administrative building, in the 70s and 80s, I believe, and I just think it might be of some use to us if we're looking for more space, high school or whatnot, or another program in the future. So just wanted to see what the other 5 members of the boards wanted to say about that, and
Let
yeah.
me tell you what I think about it.
You're a realtor, I guess you're.
Well, I'm not a commercial realtor. So
Okay.
this is a board opinion, not a professional
Okay,
opinion.
yeah.
That property isn't all that big. It's big, but I'm not sure what you can really do with it. I certainly would like to see some more space for pre-K. That seems to be a constant pain point. But I don't know that solves any of the problems. So I noticed that as well, because I remember being like a little kid in mom's conversion van. I'm like, oh, there used to be central office.
Mhm.
Ended up a plumbing supply place. But I didn't see any reason to go forward looking at it. I think it was interesting, but I didn't really see any plan for it.
That's definitely interesting. That's why I brought it to the table. And the tax impact, they paid 52,000 in school taxes last year as per the assessment website. So that's the impact of taking it off the tax rolls. So, and that was, for me, that was an issue. Oh, we're gonna potentially take it off the tax rolls.
They have a
So-
good tax lawyer.
Yeah. So, that was the impact on that. So,
I mean, unless I think there's a specific reason why we would need additional space. I'm not sure it makes sense to go purchase property at this time. And I think people were concerned about the tax increases this year. And so I think, going out and acquiring property may not be the best use of taxpayer dollars at this point.
okay.
I think it's interesting, but I just don't think the timing would even be right now with what's happening. My other concern is that I kind of alluded this to, several board meetings ago, that I have concerns that state aid to schools might be flat or reduced, and that could impact us. The last thing we want to do is, go to the taxpayer for something that we probably may not need at this point. So I'm against it, but, things could change in the future, and then maybe it's something to assess, and even if that property is not available, maybe another one is, if we find the need for it.
I think the best paid water district is in talks of buying that piece of property.
Yes, it's adjacent to where they have a Grumman or Plume site, I guess, right next to it, yeah, so. They have,
They're going to put the
remediation,
pumping station
the
in.
pumping station's right next to it, yeah, so, okay, I didn't know that, sounds good. Information I didn't know.
Anyone else have comments, or?
I think just to echo what you and Mr. Garcia had already said, which is, it's certainly an intriguing idea, but, without the actual plan of what we intended to use it for, I'd be comfortable moving forward spending. It's not just the money to purchase the property, it's a retrofit, and it's the maintenance of it long term. There's a lot of implications, expenses that come along with it. Without an actual plan of how we're going to use it, how would, be, baseline into the budget. I just don't know that it makes sense at this point.
That makes sense, I wasn't, either way, I just wanted to kind of,
No, I appreciate
it's an opportunity, it's not gonna be available forever, right? Or, I don't know, what do you think?
I think it's
But-
good to have the discussion.
Yeah, we should,
We
yeah.
did it.
So, we did it, we had the discussion, it seems like there's no great interest in it, so, yeah, that's,
Thanks,
it
Doug.
is what it is, so at least we had the conversation, so.
Okay. Any other topics anyone wants to bring up, or? Okay, so we'll move on to, section 9, informational reports. Are there any questions on the informational reports 1 to 10?
Yeah, so this is. On my email. All right, so yes, part of my questions, there was also concerns I had for the claims audit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so part of my email, the last item on my email this morning was about the claims audit report, and I feel like there was six instances of confirming purchase orders this month. There's 2 a prior month, 3 a prior month, and it was one of the items that the claims auditor noted in their final report last year. And all the report says is that the business office notes that this is going on. And I feel like we should work to address this further by, taking more action on it besides taking notes on it. I feel like the business office needs to, remind, I don't know if this is 6 incidents, I don't know if it was 6 different people, one person doing it 6 times. And then last year, the dollar amounts for the claims auditor confirming purchase orders, there was one that was $135,000, $37,000. So some months they're big amounts of money that is being obligated by an employee before the district approves that expense, so that's not a good practice, I think. And I think we should do a better job of working on, cracking down on this. And
So
so,
if I may, so during the audit committee meeting, the external, I think it was the external auditor, Jill, had mentioned this coming up. And she had noted, and I don't have the specifics, I'm just going by what she had mentioned. She had noted that in these instances, what she noted is that they were like emergency expenditures. But again, it doesn't mean that we can't probably revisit processes or look at specific instances, but she did caveat that with those exceptions, she noted that they were, emergency situations that required that to happen. So I just
6 a month is.
I wanted to mention.
Yeah, 6 a month, it was 42 all year last year, so it's a lot of emergencies, so
Right.
if that's something we can address, so there's less occurrences of these, I'd like the business office to do that. So, I don't know if you have to address the employee, is it the 42 times last year, I don't know if that was one person, was that a handful of people?
I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know the
so-
answer to that either.
So, who's the
Just
culprit?
reiterating What the auditor had mentioned at
Yeah.
the prior meeting.
And I know, it's not a good practice, spending the district's money before the business officials approve that spending, that's not good.
We got glowing just at our audit committee, we got glowing reports.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's lining up to what you're saying. We were just here for,
Did the claims
Oh,
auditor
wow.
come today? She was there, so,
so,
internal, the claim.
Yeah.
So we had 3 auditors today? That wasn't on the,
It was
the
two.
agenda was.
But he went over.
Internal
The
and,
internal went over the claims,
okay,
as did the external auditor.
still an issue. The claims auditor put it on the report for the end of the year, so.
Just so you know, there is an internal process when these instances occur.
Mhm.
And a noted person who caused the incident has to explain why it happened. And there's explanations behind all of it.
I'm sure.
You
there's-
know, like one of them that was on this report was, we closed out a purchase order, a 24 purchase order, at the end of the year, thinking we had no more bills coming in. And then in September, we got a little straggling bill from one of the vendors, so I had to open up a 25 purchase order. So they're saying that the invoice date preceded the purchase order. So it's not all that clear cut.
Okay.
There are instances where this does happen and you can't prevent it. We had a vendor show up on site that we didn't know was coming this month. A new vendor, and there was no purchase order in place when they showed up.
Mm.
So it's, I don't like them either, and they, you try to minimize them, but sometimes they do occur.
We'll have, but six was a lot this month, I wouldn't have brought this up this month if it was 1 or 2, which is, an old bill comes in 2-3 months later. But, I just feel like we should do something to address it, so I'm hoping the board gives direction to the administration to take a step
I'm
further
still
besides.
confused by
Yeah.
what we're even talking about, so,
Yeah,
unless someone
Right.
could give me a little
well, the
more story,
confirm, it's
I think-
confirming
I think we
purchase
can leave
order,
it
so somebody is obligating the district's resources before the purchasing agent and the business office approves it.
Okay,
So they're spending our money without knowing it's in the budget. So that's, where I'm from is, that's a no-no. And you try to, there are mechanisms too, if you have to, you do it. You gotta go through the chief procurement officer and stuff like that, where I work. But they do happen, I understand that, but I feel like it was addressed by the claims audit of last year, and I feel it's an issue. And I think we could do a little more, and the only resolution on the claims audit report is that we took note of it, so. I'm not sure what else is done with that information. Is it the same person every time? Is it 6 different people this month? So,
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think we're gonna solve that issue here. I mean, I guess,
well, look, we give them direct, if we have consensus on the board here, to give them direction to maybe
do a better
take
job.
it, to do a better job, take it a step further and say, you know what, we're gonna talk to all 10 people that obligated the district's money before it was duly approved by the business office.
Mr. Perazzo was pretty clear that the reality of the situation is that these emergent issues will present themselves and the district will take action on those and will deal with the individuals that are making the mistakes. Obviously, of course, which the order did explain was the reality of the situation is that a contract or something may not be in place at this point in time, but they are from certified vendors and that those people are entitled to be paid for the services delivered. There should be no verbal or there should be no authorizations without purchase orders in place,
Mhm.
but situations will arise.
I
We do
understand
our
that.
best and we'll deal with those individuals when it happens.
Okay. So I'm not gonna take action, but hopefully next month is better and better the next month.
I hope so
and-
too.
All
My
right.
expectation is our staff does an amazing job.
Okay.
We have over 850 employees. They do their best to run the schools on a daily basis. We have many, many different things going on simultaneously. The ultimate goal is to have none.
Yeah, that would be good, yeah,
We're on the same page.
okay.
Any other questions on the informational reports? No, okay, so move on to section 10, opportunity for public comment. All comments are directed to the Board of Education president. Each speaker is limited to 2 minutes in total. Each speaker is expected to use a microphone and clearly state their name. So the floor is yours.
Hello,
I'm sorry.
Bring it down, touch two.
All right, short.
Not that's.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Garcia, and I figured you have all heard from my husband multiple times. Now it's time that you should hear from me. I went to Schwarting, hung out in the spiral staircases at Packard, met my husband in the high school, was a proud member of the Devilettes, sat in the stands at every game, cheering on my boyfriend, who was the captain of the football team, wrestling team, lacrosse team. If you ask any of our friends, nothing makes us happier than watching our children play and cheer on the same fields that we both did. We are Plainedge. I'm coming to you now, not as a teacher, not as alumni, not as a wife. I'm coming to you as a mother. We chose Wild Child Pediatrics over 10 years ago, and throughout all 10 years, Julie was wonderful to our children. She made a choice with her practice that we had no clue about. We have text messages, emails, phone conversations. Our mothers have been at appointments with us, all discussing our children's health and what vaccines are up next. This summer, you asked us to supply medical records, blood work, and more to prove our vaccines are real. We did that and more to show you that we vaccinated our children, and it is still not good enough for you. We put our kids through multiple rounds of blood work to prove to you that they are immunized, and it is still not good enough for you. My 2 young children cannot figure out why they are being excluded from school. My 7-year-old wants to know, why don't they believe us? I remember her putting that thing in my arm and that it hurt. Every Sunday he asks again if he can go back to school tomorrow. My 4-year-old tells her friends, don't worry, I'll see you at school tomorrow when we line up in the hallway. You're not in our house every day when we're trying to explain to them why they can't go to school still. The most recent Newsday article mentions patients of Wild Child should prove they are vaccinated, undergo blood work, prove there are antibodies in their system. We did both of those things. What more do you want from us? We have provided you all with more than enough proof that our vaccines are legitimate. If you still don't believe us, please explain to me how in the world my children have polio, rubella, mumps, and more in their blood. I am sure that I would not have missed them having a case of any of those diseases. Now you are telling us that we must revaccinate them against these diseases in which they already have immunity for them to return to school. It makes no sense. There is nothing I will not do for my children, and the fact that you are keeping them from going to school and getting an education and socializing with their friends is something that I will never allow. You pride yourselves on being a district focused on mental health, a district where everyone achieves. Well, right now, you are failing at both of those things. What about the mental health of my children and my family? Everyone is not achieving here. You are choosing to exclude my children. This very easily could have been handled and closed 2 months ago, and you chose not to. How any of you can allow this to go on, allow my 2 children to think that they did something wrong or are bad is beyond me. You're not going to stop hearing from us about this, and we are not going to stop talking about it until our children are back where they belong, in school.
Stanley Mankowski, very moving. I only moved to the district 6 years ago, and it wasn't because of any of these capital improvement projects. It was all about community. And I heard all this about community. This ain't community. I'm telling you right now, I'm ready to put my kids and take them to Catholic school. Anybody that asks me about this school district, I say, walk. It's called Complainage for a reason. It's because of people that sit here and keep kids out. What is the issue? If they prove that they are vaccinated, let them go to school. Are we making room for migrants? Are we making room? How do we vet all these other ones, the illegals? How do we vet them? We look at their medical records, or we go to their doctors overseas and making sure that they're vetted? Or is we just taking their word for it? And how many others might have slipped through the cracks besides Wild Child? What are you going to start making everybody get titer tests and making everybody get vaccinated? Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. But all I know is I'm retired. I could leave whenever I want. I'll take my kids to Florida. I feel sorry for each and every one of you that's not fighting for these kids where everybody's supposed to achieve.
Hi, Kathy Versace. I'm a parent as well. I'm speaking tonight because I'm disappointed, I'm ashamed, and I'm quite frankly embarrassed. I'm not feeling Plainedge strong or proud. I've had several teachers from other school districts actually say to me, "What's going on with Plainedge? Why can't you guys get it together?" That's embarrassing and something that I really, really take to heart. So with that, I have a lot of questions myself. I wrote them down, so please bear with me. What are we doing for these families that we're excluding? What have we done to protect their education? Nothing. What have we done to show compassion or solidarity? What can our community do for these people? Why do I feel like we've turned our back on them? They're just collateral damage for what somebody else chose to do. This feels wrong in so many ways, and it feels as though they're being punished. Where is the compassion we normally show for our Plainedge families? Where is the Plainedge strong and Plainedge proud in this case? We've turned our backs on them and let them figure it out on their own. That's not who we are. That is not what we do. And that's not what we represent. I'm shocked, I'm appalled, and really I'm just sad about it. Listening to this poor mother actually brought me to tears, just as a mom. Any mom that would hear the story, you can see I'm very upset about this. I can't imagine my two kids not going to school to see their friend, just to see their friend. And then they have to ask why. Terrible. So I guess that leads me to the big question. What's really going on here? With all these questions, I guess I'm saying the quiet part out loud. If these children's names were those of previous board members, would this have ever seen the light of day?
Nope.
Would it have been quietly and quickly handled?
Yep.
Why aren't we helping this BOE trustee? This has caused so much heartache for him, his wife, and his beautiful, innocent children. That doesn't upset you? I can't wrap my head around it. This isn't the Plainedge I know that rallies for its family members, students, and of course, in the past, their trustees. So again, I guess I'm saying the quiet part out loud. Is this punitive? As I sat to gather my thoughts on this situation, the biggest concern of mine right now is, as I thought when I heard Stephanie speak, this could happen to any single one of us at any given time. That has never, ever crossed my mind. I never felt that we wouldn't support our families or have them support if we ever needed it. Regardless of what all those large letters say so prominently on our beautiful new facility walls, Plainedge strong, Plainedge proud is merely just slapping lipstick on a pig. That's not the look that we want as a community, and we need to do better.
Good evening, President Rudy. Christian Miller. I'm a Plainedge resident of 15 years and father of 2. First off, I want to thank you for taking on this incredibly hard job as the Plainedge Board President in this difficult political climate. You, along with the 3 newest trustees of the board, have conducted yourselves with the utmost professionalism and grace amidst seemingly constant attack from certain individuals both in public at these meetings and on social media through anonymous and therefore unaccountable profiles. At a board meeting earlier this year, the superintendent spent an inordinate amount of time discouraging residents from speaking, quote, in a negative way on social media. I implore the residents and parents who love this great district to disregard this attempt to silence discontent with those in power and to speak your minds here, on social media, and wherever you wish, as it is your constitutional right. Your power is your voice, and as long as it is backed up by your real name, it holds credibility and weight. I also want to discuss the president of the PFT's public comments at recent meetings. This individual has consistently made unprofessional comments directed towards the new members of the board in what only can be interpreted as intimidation and bullying tactics. I would remind the residents and all those watching this meeting that the trustees of this board are elected by the residents of the district and therefore represent us. They do not answer to this individual or any other political special interests. With regards to the situation involving Mr. Garcia, I realize that we are not privy to some details regarding this matter. However, due to the public comments by a sitting member of this board, I believe there is no question that there was political motivation behind the way in which this matter was initially handled. And if there truly wasn't, then there is at minimum the appearance of political motivation, since there has been no public comment from the superintendent to distance himself or to disavow the unprofessional public comments and threats from this board trustee. While surrounding districts paused to await the outcome of the state's investigation, our district chose to act hastily and aggressively. During the board meeting on August 22nd, Mr. Parrish publicly questioned Dr. Salina about the measures being taken to protect students from unvaccinated peers, suggesting that he had prior knowledge of the ongoing investigation into the Garcia family's vaccination status. Such discussions of legal matters should never occur in a public setting. Following the meeting, Mr. Parrish made alarming statements about his intentions to oust Joe Garcia from the board, accusing him of engaging in health insurance fraud. Also, at the last board meeting, in an apparent display of retaliation against the board vote, while referencing his comments from the prior meeting, Mr. Parrish said, quote, "And I'm not done with that," close quote. When Mr. Garcia asked him if he wished to elaborate, Mr. Parrish responded, "No, not publicly," close quote. It is crucial that we reflect on these words and actions and consider their implications not only for the Garcia family, but for the integrity of our school board and the trust our community places in you all. I ask tonight that the board continue to urge the district to work on behalf of Mr. Garcia and his innocent children, not against them, to get these kids back in school and end this embarrassing nightmare. Thank you and have a great day.
Steve Versace, just a question for you, Mr. Salina, or Dr. Salina. This is now, I think, the fourth time that we've heard about a board member making threats in the community. It was to stores that were hanging signs for Mr. Beiruti during his campaign. It was threats against Mr. Beiruti out in the parking lot where we had to have somebody foil cameras. It's now threats against Mr. Garcia. How many more threats are we going to make before somebody addresses this individual?
Any other comments? All right, moving on to, section 11. Adjourn the meeting, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Pascarella, second. Mr. Morrissey, all in favor?
6 in favor, motion carried.